Hi crafty friend, it's me Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft my world stands still. Today I'm going to show you how I make this card you see on the screen. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to go ahead and better press it out. I have the press plate all ready to go. This is one of the Press-Tacular plates that is from Crafty Meraki. It is the Sakura Blossom Press-Tacular plate. And so what I'm going to do is use my big Better Press black ink on here, and I'm using some watercolor paper. I like the white watercolor paper that isn't off-white. It's a very bright white, and I think that is my favorite for watercoloring. So with just a little towel, I will clean off any of the over inking spots that I have there and put my clear plate on. I'm going to go ahead and put that through my platinum. That is how it will press out. And I always do that off camera because I have the 8.5-inch one and it is a big machine. So here it's all ready to go. It just rolls through just like any other die cutting machine. And look at that, it's all pressed. And honestly, either way would look nice. If you turned it the other way or kept it this way, the branch really is versatile in that way. So let's get to the watercoloring, and I always just like to just kind of play around with my watercolors. It's a very relaxing time whenever I get to watercolor, and a lot of these Press-Tacular plates or Better Press plates or press plates, however you want to call them, or from whatever company, but these plates are really fun to watercolor because they press into the paper and kind of give a little section for the water and the color to kind of sit in. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead and do a dry on wet watercoloring on here. So that means that my paper is dry and I'm going in with a wet brush. So that is why it's called a dry on wet technique. And I'm going to go ahead and color all of the blossoms with a very light pink and then drop some darker pink in. This kind of gives the dimension to the flowers that I'm looking for, and I'm just going to keep doing this process and build the layers of color and let the water just kind of spread out. And when it's doing that with the darker pink, that is the wet on wet technique. So you have less control with your colors and where they go, but since I'm putting the dark in the center, it just kind of fans out on the flowers. I think this is my go-to technique for any time I'm watercoloring flowers. And this really just builds another layer. Every time I use watercolors like this, it does dry lighter. So if you are a patient individual, you can go ahead and let it dry naturally, or you can use your heat gun and let that dry with a little bit of heat. If you do that, I would recommend taking it off of the stamp wheel. I like to sometimes watercolor on the stamp wheel just because it is a surface that it's not going to slide around. You just saw, look at it just dried because I used my heat gun off camera. All right, now we're going to go ahead with that same dark pink, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on each flower. Now my paper is dry, so this is now dry on wet. And I kind of go back and forth between the two techniques until I get the result that I want. And you see there maybe on the side, but my watercolor lid is separate from my palette. I like to clean that a certain times, and I find that it is more helpful to have it separate from the palette itself when I'm cleaning it. And I like to keep the palette kind of separate. So that's why that is there. By the way, the watercolors that I'm using are from Altenew. They have been in my craft room for a long time now, and I really enjoy them. So this Press-Tacular plate was part of the Meraki Genesis, which was the release from January. So I do have two other videos on the Crafty Meraki channel here that show three other cards that I've made with this Press-Tacular plate. One time I foiled it and it turned out beautifully. So definitely go ahead and check those videos out on the Crafty Meraki channel, and then also check out the product section, I have everything linked below. So if you want to go ahead and grab this plate, you can go ahead and do that. I'm now going to take some more red tones and fill in even more little spots. And you might have noticed, maybe you didn't, but I've used the exact same brush the entire time. This is like my emotional support paintbrush. We've been through a lot together. I've had her since high school, and I really just love that paintbrush specifically. Water pens are fun too, but I find that I've just kind of trained myself to be a better watercolorist with just a regular paintbrush. Well, now that my watercolor is dry, I'm going to go ahead and use these little sequin embellishments, or they're more like a gem embellishments on every single flower that has the center showing. And that is really just so me, because I love glitter and adding bling. I'm going to add a little bit more bling here in just a minute if you remember from the beginning. But look at these sentiments. We're just going to go on just a minute about these sentiments. You see I have a little bowl of them already. They are from the Crafty Meraki shimmer paper, and they do come in a gilded expression plate, so you could also foil them, or you can hot foil them and you can toner foil with them. So it's a really fun product line, in my opinion, because you can go ahead and use one die for multiple products. And then I'm going to take my little picker tool here and get my plate, my paper, onto my card front. This is just a little trick that I did not make up, but I saw once upon a time, and it is very helpful for getting card fronts onto card bases nice and straight. Pretty simple. And then it's nice and straight, and I don't have to worry about things being off the edge. So that always makes me happy. I'm going to finish my card off by adding this little best wishes onto my card, and then add some extra fun sparklies. Crafty Meraki does have full shaker panels as well. I considered doing this one as a full shaker card. I will eventually do something like that, but you know, time and crafty time sometimes starts as one project and turns into something else, and so far I am very satisfied with this one. But to add a little bit more bling, I am going to go ahead and add just a little bit of shimmer. So here's my finished card. Ta-da! You see my little butterflies there, I hope. Those are also from Crafty Meraki. So thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the Crafty Meraki channel, and also check out my channel, Stationery by Justine, on YouTube. I have lots of tips and tricks for card making, and for using the Better Press system, and for glimmering and toner foiling. So check me out over there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.